After the frightening scene that played out on Monday Night Football when Bills safety Hamlin went down with that cardiac arrest incident, after he was taken care of, after he went to the hospital and all they had left to do was sit and wait for the doctors to do their thing, ultimately really positive news from Hamlin even this morning, the NFL had a decision to make. What do we do about the Bills-Bengals game? Do we postpone it? Do we try to make it up? Do we push all the playoffs back a week so we can make up this game? What do we do? Ultimately, they made the decision to cancel the game straight up. It will not be made up. It will not be played. But in typical NFL fashion, instead of sticking to the rules they have on the books for canceled games, they're going to make up all new rules, which not only screw some people out of the number one seed, namely the Cincinnati Bengals, but also potentially screw the Bengals out of hosting a playoff game despite being named AFC North champions. This is why you should go with the rules that you have on the books instead of making things up as you go. NFL cancels Bills-Bengals games, two plans to vote Friday to implement two major modifications for AFC playoffs. The owners are reportedly meeting Friday to figure out what happens next. And as we're making this, they're currently going to vote on this. The Bengals are probably going to vote no for obvious reasons because they're the ones that are going to get screwed over by these new rules. The NFL's canceled the Bills-Bengals game that was previously postponed. While the NFL's cancellation decision will not impact which teams will make the playoffs, it may impact seedings, which is why the league has come up with several potential rule changes to even out the competitive inequities that not playing the game will create. Under the proposal that will be voted on by owners, the AFC Championship game could potentially become a neutral site game if any of the three following scenarios are met. 1. If Buffalo and Kansas City both win or both tie, then a Buffalo-Kansas City championship game would be at a neutral site. If the Bills and Chiefs both lose and Baltimore wins or ties, then Buffalo versus Kansas City championship game would be at a neutral site. Or if Buffalo and Kansas City both lose and Cincinnati beats Baltimore, then a Bills or Bengals versus Chiefs championship game would be at a neutral site. So it's incredibly complicated. You can see this right now is what they're voting on. The different scenarios that could possibly occur, including it being on a neutral site for the AFC Championship game. That is ridiculous. You now have teams who have played this entire season. You have somebody like the Kansas City Chiefs play the entire season to fight for that number one seed, to fight to host the AFC Championship game. That's really what it's all about. And now you're saying that it might be on a neutral field. That's a big problem to a lot of people because now there's no advantage to that anymore. And when it comes to the Cincinnati Bengals, it gets even worse. The NFL's also giving the Ravens a chance to possibly host a wild card game, even though Baltimore can't mathematically win the AFC North. Even if the Ravens win on Sunday against the Bengals, that would put them at 11-6, which would be half a game behind Cincinnati, who would finish 11-5. Under that scenario, they might do a coin toss. To fix that problem, the proposal on the table is that the NFL will flip a coin to see who hosts a Ravens-Bengals wildcard game if the Ravens beat the Bengals and the two teams are scheduled to play each other in the wildcard round. And Joe Mixon is blasting them for this, and I think pretty fairly so. Joe Mixon unhappy with NFL playoff proposal after Hamlin collapse cancels games because they already have a policy on the books for canceled games. Look at this. So we not following the rules no more from Joe Mixon. Competitive policy for canceled games. If a game is canceled, a team standing in its division or its conference, qualification as a wild card in the playoffs, or position in playoff seeding, shall be determined on the basis of its final record. When necessary, playoff tiebreakers shall be calculated according to per game average for all teams. You have a mechanism to determine what should happen in the case of a canceled game. You canceled the game. Nobody's really going to fault you for canceling the game after everything that went on, but you have rules in place. And in addition to that, there's more rules just talking about what to do to determine who hosts playoff games, a playoff seeding, and all those things. The NFL's deciding to not do that. They're deciding to vote on changing the rules the week before week 18 of the playoffs. And it's a tough situation. I get it. It's a really tough situation to be in for the NFL. But once again, they're probably taking the wrong stance here. Is the situation fair? No, it's not fair to the Bengals. It's not fair to the Bills. It's not fair to the Chiefs. It's not really fair to anybody. But these are the rules you've already approved. And now, last minute, you're making rule changes that overwhelmingly change things, especially for one particular team, the Cincinnati Bengals. And it's just more of a mess than it needs to be, certainly. Let me know your thoughts about all this in the comments below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.